Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 259 Last Crazy One. What? Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Guyuan was stunned for a moment, then immediately shook his head and said, "Impossible. Although the Kangri group is ranked below the top 50 of the chaotic 100 sects, they are still very powerful. With your strength, it is absolutely impossible for you to uproot the entire Kangri group." Xiao Yan nodded and said with a smile, "Father, don't worry. I naturally know about this. I want to know about the people of Kangri group or ranked on the fierce ranking of the Yunluo Academy." Guyuan's eyes sparkled. After that, he couldn't help but laugh. He looked at Li Yan, who was sitting on the ground with a limp body, and said in a low voice. If his brother was an important member of Kangri group, then there was a man named Li Yan on the fierce ranking. He was ranked over 100, and his strength was about the emperor level. Li Yan. Xiao Yan nodded. This guy's strength is at the emperor level, so it's understandable for him to be ranked in the top 100. I know your character very well. I won't stop you. This bastard has killed so many students. If it wasn't for the fact that he wants to escort the rest of the students back to the academy, I would like to make a trip to the Kangri group with you. Guyuan shrugged his shoulders and sighed. Xiao Yan smiled when he heard this. The spirit in his eyes gradually condensed. With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult for you to deal with Li Yan. However, the leader of the Kangri group is as strong as a monarch emperor. If you encounter him, you must flee immediately. Guyuan's eyes were quite sharp. He gave Xiao Yan a few glances before he roughly understood the latter's strength. Immediately, he reminded Xiao Yan in detail. Monarch Emperor. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. His heart involuntarily revealed some warmth when he heard Guyuan's concerned words. The reason why the academy produced a fierce ranking is also a way to motivate the students. Anyone who can kill anyone on the ranking will receive a huge reward. Of course, for those who have different strength, the person they want to kill will also be different. After exhorting, Guyuan paused for a moment before saying, "We are now inner court students. If we want to obtain a reward, we must kill those ranked within the top 300. Other than those ranked within the top 300, we will not receive any reward." Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment, then he nodded his head in understanding. This was a good idea, as it was to resist those ranked lower than the top to get a reward. There is a soaring dragon ranking in the inner sect. It listed the strength of all inner sect disciples, and the number 1 expert. I heard that a few months ago, he killed the 112th emperor level expert of the fierce ranking. I heard that the emperor level expert was even stronger than a monarch emperor expert, but he was still killed by him with ease. Shaking his head, Guyuan couldn't help but sigh. He really is a crouching tiger and a hidden dragon. Xiao Yan also nodded his head with emotion. As one of the 4 big academies in the star domain, the Yunluo Academy did not only rely on the peerless geniuses of the realm in Valley, but also the core forces of the inner circle. This guy, I'll take him away first. Xiao Yan lifted Li Yan, who was almost paralyzed on the ground, and swallowed a fire wings pill. Under Guyuan's shocked gaze, Xiao Yan had already soared into the sky and rushed towards the outer circle. Origin. Origin. Key turning into wings. Seeing Xiao Yan flying into the sky, the remaining few students were stunned. For a moment, they had actually forgotten all their fear. Guyuan's brows were tightly knitted. It was a long time before he finally laughed softly. He did not know what this fellow had experienced in these few years. There were quite a number of good things. He could even possess something that could transform into a fire wings. Swoosh. It was as though a fiery light had shot across the sky. Within the fiery light, Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. His face was also a little pale. Using fire wings to transform into Origin Monarch Key to fly for a long period of time was still too consuming of Origin Monarch Key for him. The fire wings on his back gradually scattered. Xiao Yan's body also slowly descended. He steadily landed on a huge rock. He glanced at the unconscious Li Yan. Xiao Yan shook his head and threw him onto the ground. The immense pain caused Li Yan to cry out in pain. He opened his eyes and saw Xiao Yan. At first, he was stunned, then his face turned pale. He looked at the latter with fear. 2 emperor-level experts had been killed by him. With his tiny bit of strength, he was no match for Xiao Yan. Tell me the details of the Kangri group. Xiao Yan looked at Li Yan with a smile that was not a smile and said faintly. I don't know. Li Yan swallowed a mouthful of saliva when he heard that and said in a trembling voice. Cold sweat broke out on his back. Swish! Xiao Yan's icy cold eyes swept over before he could finish speaking. They were like two sharp blades that pierced towards Li Yan's body, causing him to tremble. That cold aura caused his breathing to become sluggish. Do you want to die? His indifferent voice sounded like a thunderclap in Li Yan's ears. The coldness in his voice was even greater than his elder brother's. I have been away from the Kandri group for many days. I don't know the exact situation inside. Li Yan sounded like he was about to cry. In the end, he was just a teenager. In the face of Xiao Yan's aggressive aura, fear had finally occupied his heart. That's not necessary. You just need to tell me the strength of the experts of Kandri group. When the time comes, I will bring you there. As long as I have the ability to deal with them, you will be fine. Xiao Yan immediately smiled when he heard this. He looked at Li Yan, his eyes flashing with the color of an elite. Li Yan was stunned when he heard Xiao Yan's words. He was also complaining in his heart. He wanted to reduce the strength of the Kandri group. If he let Xiao Yan go, he would be killed by the experts of the Kandri group, but when he said this, he wouldn't dare to take such a risk. If Xiao Yan had the ability to deal with him, he would be fine. In other words, if Xiao Yan was deceived by him, dealing with the experts of Kandri group was no match for him. The first one to die would be him. Kandri group. I don't know the strength of the sect master. I heard from my brother that there are a few monarch emperor and above warriors in the Kandri group. As for the emperors, I estimate that there are more than 10 of them. Clenching his teeth, Li Yan still told Xiao Yan everything he knew. Under the attack of Xiao Yan's imposing manner, he was trembling all over. After listening to Li Yan's words, Xiao Yan frowned slightly. The Kandri group's strength was not even in the top 50 of the chaotic crowd. They actually had such strength. Although it might be exaggerated, it couldn't be underestimated. It seemed like every major power in the chaotic 100 sects couldn't be underestimated. With his current strength, he really didn't have the ability to fight a major power alone. I heard from that Luo Xing from the Silver Moon group that Xiao Yi killed a gang all by himself. In other words, he has killed at least one monarch emperor. This guy is terrifyingly strong. After pondering for a moment, Xiao Yan looked at Li Yan. Suddenly, he let out a soft laugh and struck Li Yan's neck with his hand blade at lightning speed. The latter's vision turned black, and he had completely fainted. You should sleep here for a few days. If you are lucky, you might be able to survive. Xiao Yan glanced at the unconscious Li Yan without any expression. In a flash, he had already left the place. This fellow was young and ruthless. He had killed several of his companions. This kind of person was just like what Guyuan had said. No matter where he was, he would be a piece of trash that people would despise. He would just leave him here to fend for himself. Next up is the Kandri group. Before entering the academy, let's go crazy. This will not tarnish the reputation of the Saint rank trial participant. Xiao Yan's figure sped through the mountain forest. His eyes were firm. There was a raging flame burning within. In his mind, Mu Yuyong, whom he had talked about with Zhu Kun, appeared. That fellow was also a Saint rank trial participant. For some reason, Xiao Yan always had a crazy mentality of wanting to compete with one of them. They were both Saint rank trial participant. This kind of feeling was probably a feeling of hunting for prey, even if the other party was an immortal. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.